So again, this is Just Cause 3 Sky Percent. This is a category starting at New Game with the Sky Fortress DLC installed and completing the early New Game missions until the Sky Fortress content is available, which happens after Terrible Reaction. This route also does Friends Like These because Friends Like These is the mission that unlocks fast travel. During this auto-scroller, there's not really too much that can be done. You can blow that place up, but it doesn't stick. Those structures will all come back. So the only real gamesmanship here is to blow up the SAM sites before the game tells you to, which mostly saves you the trouble of hearing the voice lines. The one substantive thing that can be done is this area over here, kind of beyond the bridge, is where the beginning of the mission would be. And shooting rockets over here won't kill the guys that we need to kill ahead of time, but it will clear a tree. And clearing the tree will make it easier to throw a grenade, as we'll see in about 20 seconds. Here, the game is very, very difficult about giving Rico abilities. So we're going to wait to parachute so that way we can kind of keep our momentum. You have to get close to the ground before it'll actually let you use the grapple. So here unfortunately the guys spread out. Ideally you want to kind of throw a grenade between two of them. Or if they bunch up, I mean that's even better, but unfortunately, this is going to be some intended stretch driving for the most part. If you stray too far from this road, the game will give you a 20-second timer and fail you.
J'avais pas vraiment le choix. Tu vas voir, Rico. Medici a pas changé.
So here we're going to fight waves of enemies using this tank. We start with some infantry out front, but then we're going to have a series of jeeps come to us. We'll get a random number from the left. And then one from the right. And then more from the left. And then one more from the right. We'll get one more from the extreme right. Eventually. Sometimes he slow rolls me. It's very upsetting. And then we'll get a motorcycle. Yo, shoutouts to this video game not giving me the load failure. Right at that point, there's a potential that this cutscene just won't load. It's been bugging me a lot, but we're good right now. Nothing bad's gonna happen. Helicopter flying in this game, you can gain about an extra 30-40% speed by going forward diagonally. So I'm holding W and D right now, and then I'm using the mouse to sort of nudge the helicopter back and forth into a sweet spot so that I get an extra boost of speed. Unfortunately there, my helicopter pathing took me too far in one direction. That's a sloppy. I was trying to cancel. I'll explain this a little more later, but in this game, you want to generally cancel your grapples before you make contact with whatever you're going towards. That's beneficial because you'll enter a controlled fall state when you cancel your grapple. And doing that kind of gives you less landing lag. Having to watch the whole animation really takes a long time. sometimes the pilot will die ahead of time, and sometimes you just have to watch him die. I mean, or you, excuse me, blow up the helicopter. So you can see there, when I grappled over, I entered into a running animation because I had grappled over onto ground. Sometimes the running animation is fine. If you're going towards a mission marker, you can pretty much be in any sort of state and start the mission, so that's less important. But if you're trying to shoot, or if you're trying to interact with certain objects, it's always beneficial to try and be in that controlled fall state when you land. Here the game wants you to use an explosive barrel on this gate, but you can just pull the gate down. Avoid the sphere here because the sphere will kill you. The sphere is hostile. Did I cancel Dima's lines there? I might have just canceled Dima's lines. That was weird. When you wingsuit, you always want to wingsuit as close to the ground as possible. You don't actually need to plant bombs on both sides of the bridge because you can just plant them in the same place. And since the game hasn't given you the ability to blow them up yet, it decides that it is better to let you do your devious things of planting the bombs in the incorrect place than you know, I guess, failing you for not planting the bombs in the exact right places. It's also true that cool guys don't look at explosions. That is a vital meme. So here we're waiting for Dima to finish her dialogue so we can hack the SAM site. And then we have to go to a second SAM site. These helicopters are scripted, so they won't actually do anything else. You can hijack them, you can do whatever. They don't really care. So I'm going to hijack it, and the goal here is to blow up the other helicopters as quickly as possible, because that will advance the mission. Wow. Okay. You know, so that leading that other shot is a difficult part of my life. But as you can see there, once I got rid of that last helicopter, despite my poor aiming, it did advance the mission. So parking that helicopter over there is important because in the mission end area, it will despawn vehicles that I park too close. But parking it over there prevents it from despawning. And we want to keep it around because at this point in the game, we need to liberate the province of Baia to proceed. The province of Baia has two components. One of them is the military base of Vis Electra. And as it happens, infinite missiles is a very good tool for destroying. So we have to be careful about that SAM site. It has lock-on missiles. They hurt. This helicopter is kind of made of paper, so it is essential to not get shot down by it. There's also a potential that another missile helicopter will spawn sometimes. That could also be a problem, but that's less of an issue for the run, at least in terms of being marathon safe, because I'm able to just hijack that other helicopter. Oh yeah, no, I am deeply entertained by French words, even though I obviously don't understand them. Okay, so shoutouts to being on the wrong side of the wall. Here, these green chests can have different weapons. Ideally, we want them to have RPGs, but I had a grenade launcher, which is okay. There you can see it was an example of me entering a controlled fall to interact with that switch faster. I could probably edit that list, yeah, for that. That probably is really long on mobile. Oh, does it have the wrong link for the Discord? Anyway, here we got a rocket launcher, which is good. Because if I actually shot it directly, it would be a one-hit, which is really effective for our Chinese. So here, again, I had parked the helicopter away because when you liberate a military base, it will despawn all enemy vehicles, regardless of whether enemies are in them. Oh, you're seeing an emote because, oh, at the end of the Discord. Okay, I see what you mean. Interesting. Okay. So like I'm on, in my desktop dashboard, I don't see that behavior, but I will. Thank you for pointing that out because obviously I had no idea I was doing that. That's kind of funny. So here, the police stations require havoc, which just generally means that you're blowing up vehicles and destroying people in the area of the police station. So that finishes that. We don't need the helicopter at that point, but we do have to come down here because I need to take care of these gates. Quickest way to take care of a gate is to just use the grapple to do it. You don't actually have to press the button. That's funny, it shows an emote. Okay. Oh, man. So that is the end of basically the any percent liberations that are going to be done for the Sky percent route. The remaining liberations will all be Sky Fortress DLC specific. Oh, it's a BTT emote. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't have BTTV installed. I used to have it installed, but like, I don't know. I like using Frankfurt AC by itself better. I find it to be more effective when you don't mix it with BTTV. Oh, come on. Ideally, you want to land next to that in a position to immediately get into the helicopter. The reason we're picking up a helicopter here is because it is the best way to complete this mission. The intended strat is that you drive a scooter, and driving a scooter is slow. Oh yeah, Chatty would have that plugin. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I haven't used Chatty myself, but I remember Fury was a big Chatty proponent. There's other people who really like that. Oh, okay. I have to be really careful here. This is a really short tether. Alright, this is fine. So, a concern here when you're tethering the scooter to the helicopter, of course you'll have a mission failure if you blow up the scooter. And so you can do that a few times. When you're first pulling away, if you have a really short tether, there's a chance that the scooter could whip around and hit the helicopter and blow up. And then the other situation you need to be careful of is when you are dropping it here. You generally want to kind of let it pitch forward to sort of lose a lot of its momentum here, and then lower it. And then once you see it's getting processed, you can hit V to disentangle your tether, which you can do even when you're in a vehicle. In this menu, you have to get machine gun, you have to get pistols, and then you have to get the Uber's Eagle. But you don't actually have to use any of that stuff. So, I'm just gonna head out. And we're gonna start flying to the next mission. So again, we're applying the same fast fly helicopter principles from earlier to a slightly longer fly, and just important I usually kind of keep this island in front of me while making sure that I'm not getting too close to that beach that's right there in the close-up on the right. Man, I'm getting real spoodly-doodly stuff here. On the radio, that is. Yeah, so this is kind of my ideal path where I'm keeping to the right of this set of cliffs. Because then as soon as I get kind of just past it, I will straighten up, fly over the town, and then the mission start is right there at the top of the cliff. Yep, there it appears. When you are going straight, if you pulse ascend, you do get some speed. Obviously, some of that speed on the odometer is just because you're ascending, but you will go forward a little faster. Shoutouts to those barrels already being gone. It is possible for those barrels to explode while Rico's trying to plant explosives. I stick to planting explosives for these because I have a use for the rocket launcher. So you want to clear here, and then you can come up here to try and get 3 shots. You have to get 3 shots to take this thing out, and you gotta do it quickly enough. Again, yeah, I missed the wing. Still think it might be coming. Yeah, well, someone finished it for me. Oh, no. It is possible to take that plane out. I've had a terrible run of luck doing it recently. I did it live at ESA, which was I was really proud of myself. Anyway, this is the first escort mission in the game. But instead of escorting, we are going to circumvent it in the just causiest way possible. Instead, because we know where the vehicle is going, we can just deliver it to the endpoint. Well, with an asterisk. We want to get a pretty short tether here, because we want a pretty clear idea of where this is. The asterisk on taking this straight to the end of the mission is that we have to pass it through a checkpoint zone, or otherwise we can't activate the end mission trigger. So the end mission trigger is on the far side of this bridge. It's right between the 2 lampposts there. We don't fast fly here because it would cause the tether to snap. kind of have it, yeah, you have to get close enough to the ground, and once you see the checkpoint activate, you're free to fly to the end of the mission. And actually, it seems like the end mission zone is sort of higher the farther back you go, so it's kind of okay to swing it through like that. Alright, we saved a little time. Sometimes that helicopter will safely land, but the more consistent strat is just to get the helicopter the guy who is following you. The only risk with this is that sometimes a tank will spawn, very rarely, and there's a risk of the tank blowing this place up. So this is the second of the 2 long helicopter flies. At this point, we're still on normal any percent, although we're about to deviate from that. We could go, well, hypothetically, we could go to the beginning of the Sky Fortress DLC, but it would require getting a helicopter or a plane and flying for minutes. And it's definitely not faster than doing this. Especially since we'll need fast fly for taking care of some of the liberations during the Sky Fortress mission. Yeah, no, the live streamer chatty combo is one I know a lot of people use, especially for system resource stuff. I respect that. Yeah, you have to walk like 5 feet to start that cutscene. I don't know why. The funniest thing to do is to grapple into your ally. Here you need to move this boat. There is a risk of the boat hitting the civilian and failing the mission. I do that once in a while. It's not cool. Alright, so now we are going to, for whatever reason, the game gives us these fast travel points in the 3 main bases of the 3 areas of the game. And so that means we're able to fast travel to the main base that is closest to the beginning of the DLC missions. And unfortunately, escaping from this place can be kind of difficult because there's this super weapon, which is pretty dangerous. And so what we want to do here is we need to kind of disarm it. And then we're going to wait for this helicopter shield to go down so that we can just take this helicopter. This helicopter is going to have some uses. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to make it a hell of a lot easier to get away from this tower, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to try and hurt us as we fly away from here. You can hear it's a SAM site missile. The tethers that I put on the nuke are going to despawn before I can actually properly escape. So chances are there'll probably be a shot that'll follow me. There often is. I think in that case I was able to fly quickly enough out of the territory that I avoided that, which is pretty good. Sometimes you're flying from an angle where you don't have that luxury. So we're going to do the same thing here we've been doing before with helicopters, where we're going to park the helicopter a little over 200 meters from the start of the mission. The mission start is right in the middle of this field. You can see it there. But we're going to put it over here because we know what direction the mission's going to go in. It's going to come over in this direction. And the mission's going to be a tutorial for using the Sky Fortress jetpack, but it turns out helicopters faster than jetpacks. Whatever, that split's in there for historical reasons. The route for this used to be different, and then they patched out the route. So unfortunately we'll lose a little bit here because of the this thing rubber bands around 400 meters in front of us. And then as a part of the tutorial, it does break, unfortunately. So we have to wait for it for just a second. But once it starts moving again, we're able to just go ahead of it. And then once we reach our sort of destination area, which is the wall up ahead here over on the other side of this lake, we are able to just continue.
La sécurité avant tout. Pas vrai, Sheldon? Compris. Mais comment tu sais tout ça, Sheldon?
Oh, it's really close. So now we need to destroy some sets of drones. And as it happens, bringing a helicopter with infinite missiles, pretty good method. Need to take care of a second set, and then we're going to wait for a drone to drop down so that we can destroy the drone. In this case, even though we could start flying towards our destination, it's going to make the shot easier if we just wait for this drone to drop. And then fly. The dialogue is going to make it such that even as we go to the Sky Fortress, which is where we're flying to right now, we have to wait for dialogue to play anyway. Run the game on French. No, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll probably switch back to English at this point. I haven't actually sat down. That's probably a weekend project. I feel like it's difficult for me to get up the energy to do proper investigative work on a weekday, since I'm finishing up work and doing other stuff and then going to stream. But I mean, I assume in a marathon setting, I would run this in English. Alright, so now we are going to do sort of the crux of the liberations. And the goal here is really to sort of set up bombing runs. We have these, all these structures that we need to destroy. again, the goal here is really we want to kind of set up a way to get as many things as we can while moving around. Drones will be trying to make it as difficult for us as possible, and that's one of the big parts of RNG, is how many drones are firing missiles, and then are the drones also just kind of physically obstructing? Are they pulling away the lock-ons? Are they doing other stuff that's going to make it difficult for us to take care of these structures? There is a dodge feature. It is not reliable. And again, you can also see the lock on there is not terribly reliable either. So that's an example of the lock-on prioritizing the drones over the targets I actually want. There is no way to fix that, unfortunately. And that should take care of the back half of the ship. Alright, that's pretty good. I'm playing the video game. I'm living my life. So there I was trying to pull up quickly enough to take a shot at those pylons. Did not work out the way I wanted. These drone depots require hitting all 3 black tanks. Sometimes the tanks will form a chain reaction explosion, which is super convenient. Sometimes doesn't work out. I got pretty good chain reaction. Sometimes I have to go all the way around and blow those up again, but so now we have to go up on top of the ship. Unfortunately, there's no nice hole to go through like there was with the front part. How did I die? So that was almost kind of worth it because I was able to get all 4 anti-air cannons. Dying during liberations isn't the end of the world. Obviously, you lose some time having to respawn and everything in terms of real time, but you don't really lose too much progress, and sometimes you even get set up in a better place to continue liberating. Yep. All right, that's pretty good. Gained about 20 seconds. Those are pretty clean liberations, although, again, had a death there, so lost a little time hanging in. The missions in the Skyfortress DLC are the more, I guess, challenging parts in terms of the potential for stuff to go wrong. This mission in particular, this sequence, really you want to avoid dying, because you're going to have to do this whole sequence again. There is no mid-checkpoint for this set of objects that need to be destroyed. I'm trying to avoid dying here, so I'm going to play it a little safe. Okay. So I'm being aggressively pursued here by several. Got a bunch of drones on me, keep firing missiles, that's fine. Again, the goal is really to play it safe, because the time loss from dying is super substantial, and for the purposes of trying to get a PB, pretty much means the run's over. So here we're waiting for this gate to open so we can just take out an item that will open up the door over here. Now we have to wait for some waves of enemies to show up.
Vous ne faites qu'attiser ma curiosité, Eden.
Comme vous voulez, mais ne dites pas que je ne saurais pas prévenir.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que cet endroit?
Ne vous en faites pas. Vous avez peur du noir.
So yeah, again, we're gonna have some from over here, and then over here, and then probably another one. And then this last one kind of is temperamental. He's supposed to show up over here, but he seems to come from anywhere. Sometimes he just doesn't appear. Here he is. Obviously, it's an annoying time loss, but you gotta work with it. So this weapon locker can usually have a few different explosive weapons. The Capstone Hydra is both good and bad. The Capstone Hydra is very good for the early part of the mission because it's good at destroying a large mechanical enemy that we're about to have to fight. But it's bad because with the Skyfortress DLC, there is a glitch that can cause the Capstone Hydra to not work. It just won't fire.
Quelle heureuse surprise, Shelton. Faudra qu'on parle quand j'aurai un peu de temps. Très bien.
So now what we're going to do is, there are enemies that are going to start walking out onto the floor, but we're going to wait for this here because we can get a good shot here and then all the enemies will group up. I find this to be kind of easier in terms of managing enemies. If you really were able to get good headshots on all the enemies, it would be faster to take the enemies out first while this thing is charging up, but this thing can really kill you pretty quick. So in terms of managing risk, I prefer to take. So that was you know, one of the things I've been playing with is whether I want to use the revolvers or the Bavarium spreader weapon. I think the spreader is better. I think the revolver is more accurate and will kill it more quickly with a headshot. But I think in terms of consistency, the spreader is really probably what I want. So both options are probably valid. Again, the goal here with these liberations is to sort of form bombing runs. Here, for whatever reason, we don't actually lose heat like we should. So in order to save time, we just blow ourselves up, because we all know that blowing ourselves up is the fastest way to escape the law. We have to take care of one other extraction site. Thankfully, again, the game gives us these points to go to, otherwise we'd have to figure out some way to travel to them. Now, unfortunately, at this point, we are consuming our flare, our fast travel flare, which means that we'll need to figure out how to get a new one. That missile like bumped me, but didn't explode. That was weird. Oh, physics. The missiles do have physics hitboxes, and they will provide physics-based damage in addition to regular damage. So now what we need to do is we need to figure out a way to get a fast travel flare so we can get back to the Sky Fortress to finish up the last mission of the DLC. No. Oh, wait. Yeah, okay, it works. Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you, Shabba. That's actually a super good reminder. So here I'm fortunate in that this is still working. But a helpful person reminded me that if I see a different weapon here, yeah, so this is actually going to be really useful for some stuff I have to do in a second. So now, it's always important to fast travel whenever it's possible to the side mission markers, because the side mission markers will put you on the ground immediately, whereas if you fast travel to a blue marker instead of a green marker, you will have to jump out of a helicopter first. There is an unskippable cutscene here. So this mission, in which it is extremely bad to die, requires you to sort of take care of, I would say, 3 sets of destructible objects. And the whole time you have clusters of drones following you around. And the drones will shoot missiles, machine gun fire, and bump into you, and generally attempt to put you back to like the mission's like 1 checkpoint. So our kind of our goals here are to blow these things up as quickly as possible, and also to not get bopped by the checkpoints, by the drones. Once you see the Dorito moving, you're pretty much safe to go. That. There we go. We're gonna get our 1 checkpoint once this. So these kind of solar panels sticking out are the thing that we're going to be destroying next.
Le lancement de la fragmentation au bavarium à grande échelle. Machine armée. Séquence de chargement.
And it's very important not to bump in, because if you bump into any of that stuff, you're going to become... Oh, see, that's a good example of me jamming my fingers on the... So I'm playing for safety right now. Ideally, you want to get this in 2. 3 is okay. And then once you get it, you want to put some distance again between yourself and the army of drones, because you want to put yourself in position to get these exhaust ports that are about to open up. Now, ideally, what you would do is go into parachute and come back around. I just didn't get a good run for that, so I decided to dive in the interest of safety. And then sometimes you have to blow this thing up yourself, but sometimes the drones kind of just do it for you. Now you have to wait for this ceiling to open up. And there we go. Alright, that's it. That's the run. That's the run. I did it. That was beautiful. What a good run. Alright.
Je vous rencontre enfin,